morning, everyone. Thank you so much to all of you who came today. Today, I'd like to share with you a deeply personal story around health and wellness. It's a story about my wife's experience with the mental health system in Alberta. She has graciously allowed me to share this story on her behalf. I'm grateful for that because it's a story that makes me angrier than a bull at the Calgary Stampede. However, it is my hope that by sharing this story, I can empower you to be the change that the mental health system so desperately needs. The story begins way back in 2019. My wife, who was 30 at the time, had just moved to Canada from England on a work visa. As some of you may know, England has a culture that more often than not believes, brushes things like mental health under the rug. So, for the past 30 years, she has silently struggled with the undiagnosed, with her undiagnosed mental illness. Everything was going great. She discovered that you do, in fact, need winter boots in Canada, and that plant-based food is better here. She had also found a job supporting people with disabilities, which she absolutely loved. She learned a lot from being in a relationship with me. However, unfortunately, that would all change in 2020. Her work visa was nearing expiration, and she was still waiting for her permanent residency to be approved. It was also the year the world was thrown into a black hole of uncertainty and worry. In March 2020, Charlie ended up contracting COVID-like symptoms and was forced to stay home and isolate for 2 weeks. Now, for someone without mental illness, that would be fine. Maybe you'd pick up a new hobby, learn Spanish, or build the Back to the Future car so you could travel into the future. Unfortunately for Charlie, the black hole seemed to suck her in deeper. Her family doctor gave her some antidepressants, but those seemed to do more harm than good. She would stay up into the wee hours of the morning playing video games to try to keep her mind busy. But in the end, that didn't work, and she ended up in the hospital. Now, I want you to imagine that you're in my wife's shoes, and for the first time in 30 years, you finally get a chance to get the help you need. And the first thing you're asked by a psychiatrist is, why don't you go back to England and get help? Sadly, this was only the beginning of a 1.5 year long battle with a mental health system that is profoundly broken. For the next 1.5 years, she would have a multitude of things happen to her, things that she is not alone in enduring. She was carelessly cast aside by a counselor who she had grown to trust deeply because the counselor couldn't handle it. She would be discharged from an emergency room with a prescription bottle of pills by a resident who should have been fired after that decision, based on the fact that she had told the hospital she had a plan in mind to end her life that day. And the fact that after leaving the hospital, she would walk around aimlessly for the next 5 hours, not even fully aware of her surroundings or the incessant ringing of her cell phone. She would be told by a hospital emergency room that because she had been to the emergency room 3 days in a row, that they had done all they could for her. She would also spend weeks in the psychiatric ward of a hospital where she would be patronized, belittled, and misgendered on the sole basis that the name she goes by is a man's name. I know this to be true because I got into many arguments with nurses on the subject. After her stay in the hospital, she was given a referral for free counseling sessions through Alberta Health Services. The counselors she saw made her feel like they were trying to fulfill an agenda rather than actually help her. She also tried calling Access 24/7, who would make her wait on hold, and when they did, finally answer, would read scripted answers that never seem to change. Oh, are you feeling down? Why don't you go cook something or go exercise? Because, yes, those two things work for everyone. Spoiler alert, but spoiler alert, they don't. They actually don't. The reason that I wanted to share this story is because it sickens me to my core that people are treated this way by a system in a country that is praised for universal health care. I have family in the state who have had the audacity to say to me, oh, well, it's still better than the state. Is it really? Just because everything is covered, which, by the way, in my wife's case, uh, due to her immigration status, wasn't covered. Does that mean we should care about the standard? Sorry, does that mean we shouldn't care about the standard of care? Does the fact that it's free mean we should do our own rendition of The Wizard of Oz and never look behind the curtain? I hope you would all agree that no. No, we absolutely should not. I think for me, because I chose to use my anger at the system to drive my advocacy, I was able to do more good than bad. My hope for the future is that mental health professionals who treat people with mental illness will listen to them and to their loved ones and not act as though they know the person better than we know them or than they know themselves. I want you to think of this another way. When you break your leg, you go to the hospital and the doctor repairs the break. They don't judge you for breaking your leg. They don't belittle you because you broke your leg. Their job is to fix the break, right? So shouldn't it be the same if it's your brain that's affected? Shouldn't doctors treat a mental illness like they would a broken leg or a sprained arm? With empathy, compassion, and care. Especially considering that doctors take a Hippocratic oath. And as part of that oath is a promise to do no harm. I understand how tiring, stressful, and taxing being a healthcare professional can be. However, when people like my wife or anyone else walks into your exam room or office, they're there because they need help. Sorry, I just heard my own voice. Why am I hearing myself? Okay, sorry. They're there because they need help. They're there not because they're bored. They're there because the next hour is looking pretty grim. So treat them with the respect, the kindness, and the compassion and empathy that they deserve. My wife used to tell me all the time about the way she was treated and how it made her feel. I think for some people, myself included, if we're being treated negatively, it makes us not want or not accept the help. I'm sorry. That is being offered. We feel so disgusted by the treatment that that's all we focus on. You can never truly know how your words affect someone. So isn't it better to do whatever you can to make sure that that impact isn't negative, especially if you're trying to do no harm? Thankfully, my wife is doing much better now. She is on medication that works for her and has coping strategies that help her. We also have 3 guinea pigs, Reggie, Nuggy, and Teddy. They have truly helped my wife. Some days I even worry she might love them more than she loves me. In closing, I will leave you with this thought. You are the medical professionals of tomorrow. Our mental health system and maybe parts of our healthcare system are broken. It's broken, but you have the opportunity to help fix it. Now, you may be thinking this is easier said than done. There's policies and procedures that you have to follow, and you're trained to do things a certain way. Kindness, empathy, and compassion are not found in a textbook, and no policy can force these emotions. No, these emotions can be found only in the heart. A great mentor of mine taught me more about life through his actions than his words ever did. Lead by example. Show others how Alberta healthcare should be. Treat your patients with kindness, compassion, and empathy. Just by doing that, you could save countless lives. Be the change that we need in healthcare. Thank you.